that entire pandemic time, there used to be so many clients used to call and say that my dogs are fighting with each other. I don't know what to do. I will give away one dog. For aggression, again, the human is not going to be able to help. So aggression, again, Bach Flower can sort out that kind of an emotion. For example, there's this flower remedy called holly. It tackles with aggression for dogs. So it adds on kindness.
Okay.
So it's almost like a love potion.
Oh, nice. We all need holly.
So dog is like, in La La Land and not barking and being less aggressive.
I was first introduced to Sohaa socially as my friend Nina's daughter, and then we got to know her talents. She first communicated with Dory, who was my daughter, a Labrador, and she sent us her download and communication with Dory, and she blew our minds. And from that point on, we knew that if we wanted to know anything that was happening with Dory, Sohaa was our go-to person. And recently I found out that Sohaa is also getting into Bach Flower Therapy for animals and human beings, and I knew that she had to be on this podcast. And I'm so happy to have her here with me today. Thank you, Sohaa, for coming on Soul Safar with Bhaav and agreeing to share your wisdom with us.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me here.
I always tell people the Safar is in Hindi. It's a Hindi wala Safar and not the English wala Safar.
Oh my God, thank God.
Yeah, so we are addressing the English wala Safar with the Hindi wala Safar.
Yes.
So because we are talking about journeys and Safar, what has been your journey this far? How did you get into animal communication and what led you to Bach Flower?
Okay. So as a kid, I've always been very attached to animals because I had pets all my life. The journey began, the spiritual journey in that way began when I lost my first dog. So she was about 18 years old, and that was a little heartbreaking because I just thought pets are just going to be with us forever. And that's when I got introduced to this different medium of connecting with the pet even after they have passed on.
Okay.
It was so intriguing that I think I just latched on to that. I got onto the communication journey, and today I'm here talking about it. It's almost like emotions. I mean, they're just emotions flowing. So there are human emotions and then there are animal emotions, and it's all correlated.
Right.
So any animal or any domesticated pet, I mean, the pets in our house are actually reacting to what we are going through.
Right.
So it's like a give and take. Every client has a different story.
Right.
Every pet has a different story, and that still fascinates me.
Right.
So no story is the same.
Right.
So it's like a lot of content.
Tell me, how did you arrive from animal communication to Bach Flower Therapy?
Okay, so it was a very smooth transition because I was dealing with emotions and feelings of humans along with the animals, because what happens in animal communication, it's not only about the animal, as I mentioned. It's always correlated to the human and what the human is going through.
Right.
Humans are not so specific. If I ask you how are you, you'll say I'm okay.
Right.
You will not give me that exact feeling what you're going through, but animals will.
Right.
That actually became an easier process to get into Bach Flower. So ideally people say Bach Flower, it's actually Bach because it was introduced by this doctor from England, Dr. Edward Bach.
Okay.
So his surname is Bach,
Bach.
so that's how.
Right.
So he came up with, he was a doctor, and he wasn't very happy with the process of medication, because he felt if a human has to be treated, there shouldn't be, it should be painless.
Right.
So injections, you know, he felt there has to be a different way to treat humans, animals, plants, everything.
Right.
So he came up with this flower therapy. So he actually I'll show you, I'll give you an example of what actually this is. So there are these remedies.
Right.
So there are 38 remedies.
Okay.
And that is 38 flower essences.
Right.
So each one kind of addresses the feeling the human or the animal is going through. For instance, depression, worry, fear,
Right.
loneliness, or I mean there are loads of emotions.
Right.
So he felt that if I can tackle that emotion, there won't be any body pain, there won't be any illness, because everything is connected to the mind.
Right.
Some people crib about, you know, I have a knee injury, knees are aching, there's joint pains. It's all connected to the mind.
Right.
Maybe that person is a little depressed, maybe that person feels I cannot step out. So if the mind is, you know, kind of tackled and healed, there won't be any illness or disease.
Right.
So that is something which the Bach therapy works at.
Okay.
And I feel it's a great way to heal humans and animals.
Yeah. It's nice that you're saying it. Like, I'm connecting it to the time when we got Dory trained. We had a trainer who came in, and the trainer told me that, you know, actually I'm not training her, I'm training you.
Yeah.
The humans need more training because the animals already have a certain set number of words that they already know and they
Correct.
associate with.
400 words,
Yeah.
I think dogs have.
So
that
it's
ability.
about
Yeah.
training the human being and not the animal. So how it connects in my mind is you're saying that you're actually Bach Flower is also not just treating the animal itself, but it's also about treating the human.
Yes.
Because that's where
Yes.
all these patterns are coming from.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little more about what is Bach Flower Therapy?
These are flower essences. So there are different kinds of flowers. So there's larch, there's wild oat, there's Star of Bethlehem, there's cherry plum, and all these have a specific feeling which they address.
Okay.
For instance, the bottle which I just showed you, Star of Bethlehem addresses trauma, any kind of trauma. So for instance, there was one client who had an abandoned dog. So that dog, they had brought the dog home, and of course he had a different life. I mean, he had a very good life earlier with his earlier family.
Right.
And of course it's a sense of shock that, okay, who are these new people?
Yeah.
So for instance, if that was a family of 4, now it's a family of 2, and suddenly he's like, okay, I need to adjust to these people now.
Right.
So to address that trauma, I started Star of Bethlehem with him. Of course, like how humans react, I mean, every day we go through one emotion or some kind of a feeling. You get up in the morning, you're like, I'm feeling this.
Right.
So similarly, animals also have the same kind of, they react in a similar fashion. So after Star of Bethlehem, when the trauma was healed, then I got into the adjustment part of the treatment.
Okay.
So adjusting to the new surroundings.
Okay.
So again, that's something where hesitation is involved.
Right.
So the animal was hesitant to kind of bond with the human, or you know, maybe there was a different dog around.
Right.
So every flower remedy has some kind of a task to kind of, you know, it heals that particular emotion and the feeling.
Okay. You know what it also highlights in my mind is sometimes we look at our pets and don't realize that they can be equally depressed.
Yeah.
Because we expect, like when you see a dog, you are like, oh, he's supposed to be happy, he's supposed to be wagging his tail, he's supposed to be jumping around, or he's just lazy, it's a lazy dog. But you don't realize that they can be as depressed,
Correct.
sad, excited, or go through that entire spectrum of emotions just like we do, which is eye-opening for, I'm sure it's going to be eye-opening for a lot of people.
Correct.
Because that is the first step to knowing your animal and helping your animal and helping yourself actually. Because your animal is, I know there's this concept of mirroring. The animal is actually just mirroring you.
Yeah.
Because it's out there to, you know, assist you in your journey.
True.
What I understand about mirroring actually is that if the dog is mirroring my aggression, if I find a way to fix my aggression, that aggression that the dog is displaying will also kind of somewhere be addressed.
Correct. So that may not be the aggression which he's mirroring. Aggression is the outcome of what mirroring he's doing. For instance, you may not be aggressive at that point.
Right.
You might be suffering, maybe there's a worry factor in you.
Okay.
Maybe the feeling which you're going through is worry, which is making the dog mirror you in such a way so that your worry will be translated as through the dog, it's looking like aggression.
Aggression. Okay.
So it's a little complicated, but I think when the animal communication happens, when the conversation happens, it gets clearer.
Right.
And then I kind of specifically, I know that, okay, this guy is going through this, so, I need to tackle this emotion.
So communication plays a big role in Bach Flower for animals. So it's like almost like opening Pandora's box, and then or unpeeling an onion. Because it's like literally when you start, you actually get to the bottom of it.
Correct. So Bach Flower is not only, so there are these drops which you can, it's an intake of, you consume that medicine.
Right.
You can also apply it. So most of the times if there's some injury.
Right.
So it also works on that.
Okay.
Because injury, that means that if there's inflammation,
right.
If a particular remedy is given on that, then it soothes the the pain.
Right.
So it works on all areas, every part of the body or even the mind.
Right.
So it for animals, and so usually when my clients ask for Bach Flower therapy for the animal, I suggest the therapy for the human too.
Okay.
Because it works both ways. As I said, it's correlated.
Right.
If the animal is depressed, definitely it's linked to the human who's depressed.
Right.
So again, depression has a different, there are layers to it.
Right.
It could be loneliness, fear, any kind of stage that human is in. The animal might be in a different stage at that point.
Okay.
So it's just picking up the flower and kind of.
It also sounds a lot like if my dog is having my pet is having a problem, I'm going to be taking all the medication. Because I'm just like, oh my God, it's my problem that you're showing to me. Let me just take Bach Flower.
That is something which.
Yeah, but it sounds like that.
It is. It does. So of course, I mean the animals also have to consume the the dose. But if humans are a bit more open about. See, because with animals what happens is they are actually telling me what the emotion is and I'm treating them with that. With humans, because there's a wall kind of put up, because we have this certain kind of image which we need to portray to the world.
Right.
Everyone does that.
Right.
So it gets a little difficult to crack that wall, get into the onion peel and to the base, the core of that, and tackle that emotion.
Right.
So there could be a possibility that I'm tackling the top emotion. There are layers, and the core emotion is, it's like, as you mentioned, how long can it go? It can just be endless. Because maybe the core is never touched.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes humans don't even know what they're feeling.
That's true.
So that could happen, and that's how to get to the core of that emotion, it might take time.
So basically, communication is key.
Correct. Counseling and getting to know that human, then kind of getting to know what the right emotion is.
Right.
So as I said, if the human is aware of the emotion, it's great. I mean, it's easier to tackle.
Right.
I'm just low. I'm feeling low. What exactly is that person going through?
Yeah.
Then you need communication. Then you need to kind of understand the problem, the core problem. Maybe there's a childhood trauma which has led to his confidence issue today.
Right.
Anything. It can just be any kind of. It's all layered.
It's all layered. That's true. So, for example, I'm your client, and I come to you talking about my pet has some issues, and what is the procedure like? How do you take it from there to then arrive at the Bach Flower therapy? And just if you could run me through it, please.
Correct. So I begin with the animal communication.
Okay.
So first step is that I communicate with the animal.
Okay.
Then I I introduce that conversation to the pet parent. That also is a very tricky one.
Why?
Because they don't want to hear the truth.
Oh, really?
Humans don't want to hear
but if they're coming
something
to you
which
for
they're
help?
they are the masters and this dog is telling me. So it is tricky. So that entire conversation takes it to a different level when I say that no, you need to be treated, not
Right.
the dog.
So you have to actually work against their resistance.
Yes. So resistance is very, very, and it's always there. I mean, tomorrow if I didn't know this, and if someone says that no, the dog is saying that you are the one who's, so it's my, I mean, I have to actually be aware of the fact that these things are going to come to me.
Right.
That it is linked to my emotion. That's why the dog is reacting in a particular way.
Right.
So it is a tricky process, but if it's something, so if it's something to do with depression or something, I'm very clear about it that now the next step to this is Bach Flower, because after this communication, I don't think you can solve this issue so easily.
Right.
Only by being aware that okay, your dog has this issue or you have this issue. So that's how Bach Flower comes into the picture. Most of the times, quite frankly, I never tell the clients that no, try out Bach Flower.
Right.
If it's really crucial, I introduce it because most of them don't even know I practice Bach Flower.
Right.
That's something which I introduce much later because I really believe that the human can solve the problem themselves.
Right. So when you say crucial, what do you mean? What is the crucial stage?
So for instance, there are animals who are on their deathbeds. At that point, if there's pain, if there's some kind of, suffering.
Right.
So to ease out that,
Okay.
Bach Flower it helps quite a lot.
Okay. But so you're saying anything that can't be changed by direct human behavior.
Yeah. So
What-
most of the times, pet parents are also very hesitant about giving the dose to their pets. So I had one client, I won't name anyone,
Right.
but so she asked me that, my dog is going through this, whatever, the dog was aggressive. So I sent her the dose, and after a month, I usually follow up. I ask if the dog is okay or not. I don't communicate with the dog and say that are you okay. I ask the pet parent, and
Right.
then if the parent gives me that permission, and then I communicate with the dog. So she said, yeah, everything's fine. And I got a feeling that there's something wrong because it can't just, it's not magic.
Correct.
So there has to be some stage to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I realized that she hadn't given the dose to the dog.
Okay.
And then I called her and I asked her. So she said, no, what if there are some side effects? And I'm getting a little scared. So that is the problem with, this kind of alternate medicine, because people really don't know what the effects are going to be.
Right.
Actually, there are no side effects because it's natural.
Right. Because it's made
100
from flowers.
Flowers.
Right.
So that gets a little tricky at times to kind of convince people that this is 100% natural, don't worry about it. But I mean, that is something which I guess,
Like you said, animals don't lie.
yeah, they don't.
Human beings conceal, but animals
Yes,
don't.
Correct.
And that must make your work easy and difficult at the same time.
Correct. So that's why I'm sticking to just Bach Flower for animals rather than humans,
Huh.
because it's complicated.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into fights with humans.
Fair
Animals I can deal with.
Fair enough.
So
Also, you said there are no side effects. So that means I can use or consume Bach Flower in conjunction with any other medication that I'm
yes,
doing.
yes, you can.
And
It
won't
won't.
affect each other.
No, it won't.
Oh, that's perfect.
Of course, you need to follow it. For instance, if I say it's 4 drops thrice a day,
Huh.
I mean, it's better you don't skip the,
Correct.
because
Now-
otherwise then the effect won't be as much as what is expected.
Correct, obviously. What all are the things that I can expect to address with Bach Flower Therapy? Let's first talk about human beings. Actually, let's talk about animals first because they are the easiest, like you said, to deal with. So, what are the issues that we can address for animals with Bach Flower Therapy?
So there's separation anxiety,
Okay.
which a lot of pet parents in cities go through because they go for work and then animals are alone at home.
Right.
So the separation anxiety again stems from the human mind because they are the ones who are feeling that the
Right.
animal is going to be left alone.
Right.
But of course, the animal also goes through that entire thing of when is my human going to come back. So to ease out that feeling, there are different kinds of remedies which can be given.
Right.
So that is one which can be tackled. Second is depression.
Okay.
Animals also go through a lot of depression if there is a grave, if the family is going through some kind of crisis,
Right.
the animal is, so for instance, if there's death in the family, the animal of course reacts to it. And then it affects him differently, him or her differently, because he's attached to the human who's reacting.
Right.
So that can be tackled.
Sorry, can I just stop you here and ask you a question because it has popped in my head. I didn't see depression in Dory after Ryan
Correct.
passed. How was that possible?
So it's not something, for instance, each one of us goes through a different journey. If something, if there's a trauma or if there's some kind of an incident, you might go through it differently, I might go through it differently. Similarly, the dog also goes through their own journey.
Okay.
With Dory, it was more of kind of protecting the people in the house rather than, because her entire demeanor was, I can't have any emotion right now, I need to be there for them. So that entire space was a little, for her it was, she was that rock. So of course she did go through her own kind of journey of feelings. Her feelings were, I had communicated with her. So there were ups and downs. But depression is again, every human has a different, there's a level to everyone.
Right.
So she had her own level at that point.
And okay, so coming back to the separation anxiety, there's depression. What else?
Aggressive dogs. So that is something which, so during the COVID, that entire pandemic time, dogs had that entire, there used to be so many clients used to call and say that my dogs are fighting with each other. I don't know what to do. I will give away one dog. I don't know. It's just, or cats are like, they're going helter-skelter and it's like, I can't control anything.
Right.
And that is again linked to the human emotions, because pandemic was a time when everyone was, vulnerable and scared.
Right.
So that kind of, for aggression, again, the human is not going to be able to help. So aggression, again, Bach Flower can sort out that kind of an emotion, because there, for example, there's this flower remedy called holly. Holly, which is, it tackles with aggression for dogs. So it adds on kindness.
Okay.
So it's almost like a love potion.
Oh, nice. We all need holly.
So dog is like, in La La Land and not barking and being less aggressive.
Okay.
So, but it depends on case to case. It's not like this is the remedy for that.
Right.
But, and also you can mix a few solutions together and kind of create one concoction or dose.
Right.
So that also works. So there's one more remedy which is called rescue remedy, which is a mixture of, a few flower remedies together. That is when you cannot identify what is that exact feeling you are going through or the animal is going through. Rescue remedy is given so that it kind of addresses the emotion by itself.
Okay.
So that is a very effective remedy which many people use. They don't even have to kind of consult anyone.
Right.
So rescue remedy is something which is popular.
Right. So then, so we've done depression, anxiety, separation anxiety.
Clinginess. There are some dogs who just like to cuddle, and so that again is like.
And we actually write it off as dog behavior. Yeah. Dogs love to cuddle.
But clingy is actually a very. They want to show that they are dominating.
Right.
So it's actually they want to tell their human that I own you. Kind of a feeling, and which is not a good feeling, because they know that the human requires that.
Right.
So that entire overpowering feeling comes in when the dog becomes clingy.
Right.
So usually people say, oh, what a cute breed, and he's so cuddly, and it's actually there's an issue there.
Wow. Yeah. It just opens my mind to what we perceive as it's just a dog or it's just a cat, and that's how they're supposed to be behaving. It's actually not that.
Right.
So these are the things to look out for. I'm sure there are lots more things that can be.
So fear is something which is very, very prominently, For instance, fear of strangers. One example I'll give you that there was this client who said that every time the doorbell rang, my dog just barks and I just can't control what is happening around. So after communicating, one realizes that the dog is actually emitting the human emotions where the human is saying, oh my God, who's at the door? I don't want another guest. So it's that worry, it's that fear that no, I don't want people in the house right now. So that's how the dog is reacting. So once you sort out that emotion, you don't even need bachelor for that.
Correct.
You need to just understand that I don't need to kind of emit that kind of energy.
Correct.
Because they catch on to the energies, it's only that.
My God, you know, when you think about it like this, it makes you wonder the responsibility you carry.
Correct.
Because they are catching on to every
Everything.
subconscious
Yes.
emotion. Can Bach Flower also address illnesses in pets or human beings?
Yes.
Actually, right now, I think I'm just talking a blanket thing for humans and animals.
Correct.
So does Bach Flower also address ailments?
Yes. So headaches, digestion issues, acidity,
Right.
everything actually. As Dr. Bach rightly said, everything is linked to the mind.
Okay.
So any illness, it's that feeling you're going through. So for instance, in a few books, he had given one example of, there were two patients, both had knee injuries.
Okay.
And he gave similar medication to both at the same time.
Right.
So for instance, A and B. So A recovered faster than B. Giving the same things have happened to them, same medication is given.
Right.
As a person, A was much more positive and he was accepting everything which was coming his way. This guy was cribbing.
Right.
Right from that first injection, he was like, ah.
Huh.
So that's how it works. It's all in the mind.
Right.
So he didn't even want to recover.
Right.
He did recover because of the medication, but it took longer. So that's what Dr. Bach actually said, that if you can heal the mind, I mean, you don't have to worry about joint pains or any kind of, illnesses.
So what are the degree of illnesses? Like, can Bach Flower, I'm just going to throw names and like, can we, if my dog, or I don't know why I keep saying dog, a pet can be a pet, any pet. If my pet has, or me, they have a cyst or cancer or diabetes or, things like these, tumors, can all of this be addressed with Bach Flower?
It can. I don't kind of get into that because I believe in allopathy a lot. So I kind of tell the pet parent that it's better you consult the vet first.
Okay.
And in case of, for instance, there's one more issue which pets go through is skin issues.
Right.
A lot of skin issues is, loss of hair or fur or licking. Licking becomes licking the paw.
Right.
So there's one remedy called crab apple which is given.
Okay.
So it kind of works on that. It soothes the kind of whatever is the problem is. Now it depends on animal to animal.
Correct.
So yeah, everything can be healed actually.
So you're saying even such advanced ailments can be healed.
So Dr. Bach himself, in the early 1900s, I think his seniors had said that you won't live you just have 3 months to live, because he had some terminal illness. That's when he got into this, that he felt that I have learned this all my life, MBBS, and I've done all this and I can't heal myself. There has to be a different way. And then he lived for some 20 years after that.
Wow.
So it's all in the mind.
It's all in the mind. That's actually very important to know.
Yeah.
How soon after I start the therapy, or for myself or for my pet, I'm actually just going to say child, okay, because that's how I look at my pet. So I'm not. It's a little weird for me to keep saying pet.
Correct.
So for me or my child, how soon does the therapy start showing its effects? Bach Flower.
So as I mentioned, the rescue remedy is something which is given on immediate basis. Like if you really want the effect to start immediately, because people go through panic attacks or any kind of anxiety, it has a calming effect. So I can say you consume it and in the next 10 minutes you're feeling okay.
That quick?
Yeah, but it depends on animal to animal also. Some animals have taken a month to kind of show that progress.
Right.
Then again, as we mentioned about the onion peel, animals also have. So for instance, if the animal is going through a particular emotion or feeling in the first month, the second month it could be a different feeling.
Right.
So to tackle that, you need to change the dose. So it could be an ongoing process, but somewhere the personality has changed.
Right.
So it's immediate to lifelong.
Lifelong. As a pet parent, I know how difficult it is to administer medicines to them, and especially if it's oral.
Correct.
Are there any other applications that can be used? Like, for example, it's a real pain to open their mouth, keep it open, and or sometimes you put it in their water because this is soluble.
Correct.
If you put it in water, they'll just not have the water.
Correct.
You know, even that happens with some children. What do you do in that case? Are there other applications?
So you can actually put a few drops in a bottle with a little bit of water and spray it on them.
Okay.
So that also works.
Okay.
Or I usually give these kind of smaller bottles.
Okay.
So a few drops, and in food, actually it's tasteless. So
So they won't
have an issue.
Okay.
They will gulp it down.
So it's either oral or you spray it.
Spray application. So for instance, if I'm hurt, I might just apply it. Or headaches, you can apply it on your forehead.
Okay. So
So you can use it anyway.
So it basically also your skin absorbs it.
Yes.
And then it does whatever it needs to do.
Yes.
Even in regular allopathic medication, there is something called placebo effect, where your mind, since you said everything is in the mind, if you give me a pill and you say, if I have a headache and you give me a pill, even a mint, and tell me that, lie to me saying that, hey, this is an advanced medicine for headache, you take it and your headache will get okay in 2 minutes. And then my mind tells me that, and then I feel okay, the headache goes away. How do I know if Bach Flower is really working on me, or is it placebo effect?
So there's a debate on this always, because I just have just one answer to this. If it's working on you, just continue with it. Because eventually it's when you're consuming it, you are already aware that you're going to tackle that emotion.
Right.
So somewhere you've sorted your problem already.
Right.
See, any flower, for instance, vague example, but roses. I mean, when you talk about roses, it's romance, it makes you feel something.
Right.
Flower essences like lavender, the smells, something affects your mind, you feel good about it.
Right.
So when you consume that, it does have an effect.
Right.
So it's not only placebo, it does play on your mind at the same time, because as I said, if the human is consuming it, the human is already aware that I need to sort out my depression, I need to sort out my worry or my fear about something.
Right.
So it does. I don't usually say it's yes or a no, because it's debatable.
Right. Because it's not, it doesn't have any side effects. When do you know where to stop and not go overboard with the medicines? When do you know?
So there is no stopping that way, Bhav, because we are going through feelings every day.
Right.
And it's not that you consume Bach Flower and you suddenly after that particular day you're positive all your life.
Correct.
You do go through your ups and downs. There are traumas, there are instances where you feel that this shouldn't have happened. Bach Flower helps you to get back to that positive space.
Right.
So it's actually kind of, it helps you to channelize your journey forward.
Okay.
So there is no stopping to it, because if you make it a part of your life, it can just go on.
Right, that's true. Is it addictive? Is there a fear that it may become
So
addictive?
there are some people who kind of feel that if I take this, there's some interview, like for instance, if I had that, I'm like, kind of taking the drops and saying that this will sort my problem out. So it's not that. Humans like to depend on things.
Right.
That is the way the human
We all
being
want crutches.
is. Yeah.
Being addicted is not going to be an issue with the animal, because the animal is not asking for it.
Correct.
But being addicted for a human being.
It's again in the mind. It's again the whole thing about, oh, I forgot the bottle and now everything's going to go. I won't be able to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, one needs to understand
And we
that's
do that
not
all
the
the time,
only,
right?
Yeah.
We do that with, this is my lucky shirt.
Yeah.
I wear it all the time
Correct.
whenever I go
So
for
it's
a
a
meeting.
similar,
Is that, you think, is that okay?
I don't know. See, because I deal more with animals.
Correct.
So I don't know what the humans are doing at home with the dose. I really.
Imagine being like, oh, animal will feel great. I'm also feeling great. Yeah, we're like all happy family.
I think very few people know about Bach Flower. So if they know about it and if they know which emotion to tackle, I think that's a good thing, right?
Right. If I have to strip the labels off, it sounds like Bach Flower Therapy can help address any issues of consciousness, anything that holds consciousness. It could be a human being,
Correct.
it could be an animal.
Also plants.
I was just coming to that. So
Yeah.
plants come in that category as well?
Yes,
So
they do.
we can use Bach Flower on plants?
Yes. Again, any being has feelings.
Right.
Similarly, plant also has
Feelings.
has that. The layers are still there.
Right.
Even in plants, because you can also communicate with plants.
Right.
You can communicate with nature, sand, everything. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, communication is all over.
Right.
So Bach Flower also works for, so your home plants, you can actually use Bach Flower for that.
Oh, wow.
So it does work.
Bringing the focus back to you, I know currently you're working only with animals and Bach Flower, mostly, not only, mostly with animals and Bach Flower. Are you looking to at some point cross over and extend this to human beings as well?
I would love to, because again, you're dealing with, so when I'm working with the animals, I'm also working with the human. What happens is, even through animal communication, the human tends to offload a lot, because their entire thing is when they read the communication, or whenever I tell them that this is what your dog said, or this is what your cat has to tell you, or there's a message which your cat needs to give you. There is a sense of shock, because that comes from, how did she know?
Right.
So it's not about me, I'm just a medium.
Right.
And the animal has told me to communicate this to you. So that's how the message has been passed on.
Right.
It is complicated with humans, because for that I need to be completely in sync with, I need to do this. It's like a proper profession then.
Of course.
And I don't think I want to get into animals. I'm happy with that. It keeps me happy.
Right.
So I think I'm good just healing animals and they're humans at the same time. If I get completely into humans, I think I'll have to consume a lot of Bach Flower myself.
You have to have a bath with Bach Flower every morning, like taking balti.
So that's too much of
Yeah. But
too many emotions.
But I just said, never say never. You never know.
That's true.
Yeah, you just don't know, maybe. Yeah. But because it will help. I know how good you are at it, and I know it will help a lot of people. But yes, self-preservation is most important as well. Have you applied Bach Flower Therapy to your own self, and how has it changed your own personal outlook to life or your own personal journey?
So I do, yes, I do consume a lot of remedies. What happened is, what I realized is that I understand how to articulate my feeling, and I understand that, okay, this is what I'm going through and this is the remedy I need to consume. Earlier it was much more, it was like an objective view that, oh, I'm feeling low, I'm scared, I'm worried, it was very, kind of, it wasn't detailed.
Right.
Now I'm fascinated with myself that I'm going through that, so I need to kind of address that.
So it's also opened your doors of awareness.
Yes.
So that's great. And if you have an important day at office or something like that, or an important meeting, do you use Bach Flower on those days?
Not regularly, but yes.
But you've done that.
I've done that.
Oh wow! So you have that information. You might as well use it.
Yeah, I've done that.
So it's also, what I'm understanding is Bach Flower's applications don't only solve issues. It can be an everyday application as well.
Correct.
Because
so for headaches or sometimes you don't, you're tired, you work the whole day, but at night you can't sleep.
Yeah.
So there are things playing on your mind. that Bach Flower can kind of
Right. You know, and
solve those
some days
issues.
you wake up just low on energy. Some days you just wake up feeling slightly underconfident. It could also be used this way.
Yes, yes.
So it's like an everyday application.
But I would suggest people, whoever is now, who wants to get into this, wants to kind of consume Bach Flower. It's not something that today I'm having wine, tomorrow I'll have Aspen, day after I'll switch to Holly. You need to give that time. You need to kind of understand why you are consuming that remedy, and that feeling is important enough to be healed.
Right.
So it's not that today I'm low, tomorrow I'm happy, and then day after I'm worried.
Correct.
So one needs to treat that feeling with care.
Right. Also, what I'm trying to get at with this question actually is that we have to still remember that all of these tools are available to us, Bach Flower Therapy being one of them, available to us to assist us heal ourselves, not to become crutches and not to replace something else.
Correct.
So even if you wake up someday in the morning feeling slightly underconfident or feeling low on energy, don't just, your first thing shouldn't be to reach out.
Right.
It should be to reach in.
Correct.
And be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is why I'm feeling this way, and this tool is available. Do I really need it?
Correct.
Yes, I need it, let me use it, but not just blindly go and
Correct.
that's what addiction,
so when
that's
I
how
said
addiction works.
some people have made it a part of their life. It's not that they're consuming it every day.
Right.
It is that they have that tool.
Right.
If in case there is, they cannot sort it out, that issue by themselves, they can kind of utilize this tool. And
correct. And just sometimes just knowing that this tool is available is reassurance.
Correct.
And makes you feel grounded.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's so much I've learned about Bach Flower today, and I feel it's a topic that I can keep going on, and I think we'll talk more about this.
Right.
Maybe do another episode and see where you are. Have you crossed over to human beings?
Oh my God, that will be a long episode.
Yeah. We'll check in and see how.
And I won't be able to name anyone then.
No, of course you shouldn't. But those will be fun anecdotes which I'm waiting to hear.
Yeah.
But thank you, Sohaa, for agreeing to come here and sit on this podcast with me and be a part of this journey. And I'm hoping a lot more people now reach out. They know that they have this tool available of Bach Flower, and they come to you, and maybe so many human beings will come to you that you won't be able to say no.
Oh my God.
And of course the animals too, of course. You're just doing a fabulous job with them.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I hope you had a good time.
I had a
listening to
great
me.
time. You can just see by my excitement. Like I'm just like I had a great time. Maybe I'll come to you first for some Bach Flower Therapy.
Oh, lovely. Great. Just then, I'm going to restrict it only to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any creator needs your love and support to grow and reach a larger audience. And that is why I would request you to like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video below, because, well, you don't know who's going to benefit from this content. Also, please don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time we drop a new video. We also upload our podcast on Spotify so you can hear them as smaller chapters in your own time at home.